Perks. They are one of the most defining and recognizable things from COD Zombies, while also being a staple core mechanic of the mode. And today, we are going to be looking at the entire history of arguably the most popular and iconic perk in all of COD Zombies history, Juggernog. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, imagine this. You're playing World at War, and you beat the campaign, and now you're playing COD Zombies for the first time. You get through some rounds, you spin the mystery box, and you're mowing down some zombies, and you're having a great time. But out of nowhere, you get windmilled by a zombie, and bam, game over. 2 hits, and you're donezo. If only there was a way to make it so I could just take a little bit more damage from zombies before going down. Well, with the release of the very first Zombies DLC ever, Verrucht, those wishes would be fulfilled. With Verrucht, we got a power switch, traps, and of course the OG 4 Perca-Colas. But today, we are just going to be focusing on Juggernog. For 2,500 points, you would now be the toughest soldier on the battlefield by being able to take way more damage from the zombies before going down. But you see, here's the thing. Most people who are familiar with COD Zombies already knows that Juggernog usually makes it so that your health is increased so you can take up to around 5 hits before going down. But in World at War, that's actually not the case. In fact, World at War probably has the most busted and overpowered version of Juggernog we've ever seen. And yes, this includes Cold War, Black Ops 6, and Black Ops 7. Juggernog in World at War makes it so that not only is your health increased, but it also increases your health regen. This makes it so that it's almost near impossible to down unless you're just really bad. You can take an insane amount of damage from a single zombie before going down. However, this effect only applies to Verrucht and Shinonuma in World at War. On Derice, it's simply just the normal health increase. Now with the location of the Jug Machine, on Verrucht, it's actually in one of the spawn rooms. And with Shinonuma, it's complete RNG like the other perk machines. However, with Derice, Treyarch started realizing how valuable Juggernog actually is. They wanted to start making it something that the player has to try a little bit harder to earn to make the mode a little bit more challenging. The Juggernog machine on Derice is in the first ever Death Corner, which is a term that was coined by the community, where if you went to go buy Jug in the middle of a high round, it would be pretty dangerous and risky, and this would become a trend in zombies going forward. So for now, let's take a look on how Treyarch was going to treat Juggernog in their next game. With the release of Black Ops 1, there was only one question on the player's mind when booting up Kino der Toten for the very first time. Where the fuck is Juggernog at? And any semi-decent player would discover that it's actually in the last area that you access in the map. And it's also in a, drumroll please, Death Corner! If you're able to obtain Juggernog for the same price of 2,500 points, it has the exact same effect as it does in World at War Derice. 4 hits in your red screen and then 5 hits KO. And they kept up with the trend of putting Jug in precarious locations with the DLC maps. Alongside Kino der Toten, 5 Ascension, Call of the Dead, Shangri-La all had Jug in essentially death corners, even with it swapping places with Speed Cola from match to match. And both the locations aren't that great. And Moon has a very interesting system with Jug. You can either get it on round 1 or way later depending on RNG and skill. When you spawn in on Moon, you have a chance to either get Speed Cola or Juggernog in Area 51. And you can actually buy these perks right away. You don't even need to turn the power on. Of course, if you're able to secure the 2,500 points to buy it, that is. But if not, you'll have to wait till you come back to Earth to buy it. Oh wait, now it's Speed Cola. Yeah, Speed Cola and Jug alternate between teleports, meaning if you got Speed Cola when you spawned in, the next time you come back for Pack-a-Punch, it will be Jug. With the release of Moon, we also got all 4 of the World at War maps remastered for Black Ops 1. Not much changing for them, except they now have Black Ops 1 weapons, and also Nocturne Toten has Mule Kick. But Verrucht, Shinonuma, and Derice still have the same perks, including Jug, meaning Verrucht and Shinonuma now have the normal Jug effects instead of it being the broken World at War version. There's also one more thing I need to mention about Black Ops 1, and that is the introduction of free perk power-ups. Starting in Ascension, free perk power-ups were granted to you by completing a certain arbitrary task in each map, completing a monkey round without having any of them touch a perk machine in Ascension, killing George Romero in Call of the Dead, timing a perfect power-up cycle with the monkeys in Shangri-La, and for Moon, well, there wasn't one, except for completing the Easter egg, and for doing so in the past maps that I mentioned, you were also granted all the perks. So now, with new ways to obtain perks in Zombies, what will Treyarch do in their next game to up their perk game? Black Ops 2 came out swinging with perk changes, with the brand new perk system, Perma-Perks. Technically named Persistent Perks, but we're gonna call them Perma-Perks, even though they're not permanent. Yeah, don't question it. Perma-Perks are an extra add-on to the perk system, only available on the Victus maps, Transit, Die Rise, and Buried, where you can complete some random arbitrary task to gain said Perma-Perk. And in Juggernog's case, there is a Perma-Perk version of it. How do you get it, you may be asking? Well, all you gotta do is fully bleed out 3 times before round 3. Bro, if you get this any other way besides actually going for it, it's time to log off, Lil Gup. Although you have to be literal dog shit to get this organically, if you do end up getting this, for whatever reason, you will now have 90 extra HP, meaning you'll have 190 without Jug and 340 with Jug, meaning you go from a 2-hit down to a 4-hit down without Jug, and now a 6-hit down with Jug. This seems like a no-brainer to get, even if you're good, right? Well, not so fast, Buster. If you do have this perma-perk and reach round 15, well, you just lost it. However, you will keep the extra health until you end up going down. But once that happens, you are now playing normal COD Zombies. Obviously, this was just put here to help aid bad players advance to a decent round before they got comfortable enough to not need it anymore. And speaking of normal COD Zombies, Juggernog works the exact same as it does in Black Ops 1. You gain 150 HP for 2,500 points, and it's available on all of the maps: Transit, Nuketown, Die Rise, Mob of the Dead, Buried, and Origins. But we also got survival maps with Black Ops 2, and that being Bus, Depot, Farm, and Town, which are just sections of Transit that are cut off into its own tiny little map. Now, while Town and Farm have Juggernog, Bus Depot is more of a Nocturne Totem style of map, having only a mystery box and a couple of wall weapons, but no perk machines. Nuketown actually has a very interesting system when it comes to perk machines, in which they come into the map periodically, meaning you can get Jug very early into your game or really late into your game. Die Rise actually has Jug moving through a few locations with the elevators, meaning it won't always be in the same spot every time. But none of that compares to where Jug is on Origins, which is in one of the most diabolical death corners in all of COD Zombies history. I mean, this thing is literally a death trap. But that's not the only thing Origins brought to the table, and that is the Wonder Fizz, the mystery box for perks. You can now gamble away 1,500 points for a chance at getting a perk discounted. If you got lucky and got Jug, you just got yourself a 1,000-point discount. There are also ways to get free perks in some of the maps, like having 100% accuracy with the jumping jacks and Die Rise, and by killing all of the witches and Buried. So that's it, right? Well, actually, no. You see, there is one more very important thing I have to talk about, and this feature will forever change COD Zombies forever: the Zombie Shield. One of the first ever buildables in Zombies, the Zombie Shield has the ability to be planted, but that's not the important part. The important part is it can also be stowed away on your back, which will actually deflect oncoming damage. And once it broke, you can just go back and grab a new one for free. However, this wasn't available on all of the maps, only on Transit, Mob of the Dead, and Origins. Interestingly enough, Transits only require 2 parts to build, while Mob and Origins needed 3 parts. So Black Ops 2 introduced some very interesting new mechanics and fun systems to the base perk system that affect Juggernog. So the only question is, how will the first non-Treyarch game affect it?
The wrong place and the wrong time. When you're facing 1,000 mutant zombies eager to spoon out your brains, you learn to work together.
In 2013, we got Sledgehammer's first attempt at COD Zombies, Exo Zombies, and they had most of the core fundamentals of gameplay from traditional zombies, including perks. But instead of sodas, their biometric data, I still have no idea what exactly it is. Juggernog, I mean Exo Health, works the exact same way as it does before. 2,500 points will boost your health, except it will now be a 7-hit down instead of a 6-hit down. And something very important to mention is that Exo Zombies started the trend of the 3-hit down system without Jug, instead of the 2-hit down system. And every single future iteration of Zombies would adopt this feature going forward. Exo Health can only be attained after acquiring an exosuit. Look at it as turning on the power in the previous games, even though you already turn on the power in each area of the maps. Never mind that. Exo Health is on all the maps: Outbreak, Burger Town, or Infection for all you Exo Zombie purists, Carrier, and Descent, with Burger Town and Descent both having Exo Health at the very end of the map, making you work for it. Oh, and this game doesn't have a shield. And there really isn't too much more to pick apart here about Exo Health and Exo Zombies. It's the Juggernog stand-in for the game. That's really about it. But trust me, with this next game, we're gonna have a lot more to talk about.
Your words are empty. Your soul is hollow. How could you ever hope to put things right?
With Black Ops 3, we got Perca-Colas back, but I can't start this segment without talking about the gumball-shaped elephant in the room, Gobblegums. Gobblegums are the first ever consumables in COD Zombies, and they are busted as shit. For example, Perkaholic literally gives you every single perk on the map instantly, but there are also a plethora of other Gobblegums that affect getting perks alongside Juggernog, such as On the House, Raindrops, Unquenchable, and Soda Fountain. Juggernog works the exact same way as it always has, 2,500 points for extra health, while also adopting a 3-hit down system. However, it is back to being a 6-hit down with Jug. The Juggernog machine is available on all of the maps in the game as well: Shadows of Evil, The Giant, Derizendrax, Zetsubo no Shima, Gura Krovi, and Revelations. For Shadows of Evil, Juggernog, Speed Cola, and Double Tap all switch places each game. And not only is the perk icons unique to that map, but so are the jingles. And oh my god, Jugs is a banger. It makes me just
When you need some help to get by, something to make you feel strong. Reach for Juggernog tonight, sugar seduction delight.
When you need to feel big and strong.
Reach for Juggernog tonight.
For the Giant, it's actually a lot like Shinonuma from World at War, where all the perk machines switch places every game, so Jug could be where it is usually in the classic Dries, or it could also be where Double Tap normally is. Horizon Track actually has Jug in a pretty rough death corner, and Zetsubo no Shima could have Jug in a few different locations depending on if you're playing on solo or co-op, as well as what spawn door you decide to open. Garage Crovy has it in a slight death corner, but nothing too bad, and it's pretty close to spawn as well. And Revelations actually has Jug in a pretty good spot. It's in Nocturne Toten in the center of the map, which is essentially the hub of the map. Black Ops 3 also has the shield return and is in all of the maps, except for the Giant. And in Black Ops 3, they decided to make unique shields for most of the map to give the map more character. In Shadows of Evil and the Horizon Track, it's the rocket shield, which makes it to where you can have 3 charges to shield mass zombies. But obviously, you're just gonna mainly use it for defense. You can also upgrade this shield on Shadows of Evil, but let's be honest, ain't nobody doing that shit. Zetsubo no Shima has just a normal shield that can technically be upgraded during the Easter egg, but I wouldn't even really call it an upgrade. And Garage Crovy low-key has the best shield ever in COD Zombies, the Guard of Fafnir. This shield has 3 Dragon Blast charges that are extremely powerful, and this shield can be upgraded, which will increase its power and also have increased durability. And this is the exact same shield as it is on Revelations, but it is not upgradable. The Wonder Fizz also makes a return and is in all the maps except for Shadows of Evil and the Giant. And one big thing, I need to also mention the masks on Revelations, because some of them actually gives you pseudo Juggernog. Basically, some of these masks will give you a extra perk icon for either Jug or Stamina, like the Viking helmet, which gives you 1 extra zombie hit, but also the Fury Head, the Keeper Skull, and the Apothecon Mask, also known as the God Mask, which makes it to where you can now take up to 10 hits from zombies, and it even makes your shield stronger than the upgraded one on Garage Trophy. This is easily, without a doubt, one of the best side Easter eggs in all of COD Zombies, and all you gotta do is this long-ass checklist of things. Good luck, and you could also get a free perkaholic for completing some of the main Easter eggs. Now we gotta talk about the big boy, Zombies Chronicles. Nocturne Toten, Varrock, Shinonuma, Kinder Toten, Ascension, Shangri-La, Moon, and Origins all remastered now in Black Ops 3, and they all have Gobblegum machines and Wonder Fizzes on the maps, even the World at War maps. So Nocturne Toten now has Juggernog through the Wonder Fizz, which is really dope. So Black Ops 3 added a ton of innovation, while still keeping true to the normal perk system with Juggernog. So what could possibly be done next?
At an abandoned summer camp. Deep in the woods.
With Infinite Warfare Zombies, the perk system got a fresh new coat of paint. Instead of sodas, we now got candy, baby! And you can also have 5 at once. Take that, Treyarch, with your 4 perk limit. And I'm sorry, Tough Enough works the same as Black Ops 3. 2,500 points, you go from a 3 hit down to a 6 hit down. And the perk machine is on all of the maps. Zombies in Spaceland, Raven the Redwood, Challenge Shuffle, Attack of the Radioactive Thing, and Beast from Beyond. And they all are in pretty precarious spots, especially Spaceland. But to be honest, Attack Spot is in a pretty open area compared to the others. I mean, look at this one in the Raven the Redwoods. It is just, no. Now we gotta talk about Fate and Fortune cards, which are essentially Gobblegums just reskinned. And there are a few of them that are sort of tied to health in tandem with Tough Enough, such as Mana Up, Stimulus, Explosive Touch, and the Z-Team, which makes it to where you're literally invincible if you're close to a teammate and they have any amount of health. There is also the Ghost and Skulls machine on all of the maps, to where you can get a free perkaholic if you complete a few side objectives and then play this minigame. But I haven't even mentioned the most busted thing in all of COD Zombies, Director's Cut. For completing the Super Easter egg, you can now start off the game with a ton of benefits, but the most notable one to talk about is that you start off with a permanent perkaholic. This is obviously super broken, but also an amazing reward for completing the Super Easter egg. One other thing to mention is the fact that this game does not have a shield buildable. So Infinite Warfare added a new coat of paint to the perks, but didn't change up too much when it comes to Juggernog, and that's not a bad thing, so hopefully this next game doesn't end up doing that. Well, I got some bad news.
Over here.
World War II Zombies is widely considered to be one of the worst modes we've ever gotten. Now, I don't personally agree with that sentiment 100%, but I can see why people would think that. And one of the main reasons for that is the fact that Juggernog does not exist in the game. But hey, don't worry, we now have armor. Oh, I'm sorry. We have Geist Shield. Geist Shield has multiple stations all around the map, except Groston House and the Tortured Path, where there is just one on Groston House, and on the Tortured Path, you actually have to wait for a supply drop after a couple rounds to give you any armor. On the normal maps, if you have the points to buy Geist Shield, if you're going to take a fatal hit of damage, instead it will take off an armor point, which you will have 3 of them. But if you take a hit after losing all of your armor reserves, you're still going down, bud. And if you lose armor and you want to get it back, you gotta keep buying it over and over again. This system is by far the worst jug/armor system we've ever gotten in Zombies, because not only do you have to keep buying it over and over again, but it gets very expensive very fast. The first purchase is only 500 points. That's not that bad. Then it's 1,000. Then it's 1,500. And then it jumps up to 4,000, 5,000, 7,000, and then it caps out at 10,000 points. So if you want armor in high rounds and you've lost it enough, you're going to be spending 10,000 points every time just to get it back. However, there are a few different ways to get Geist Shield points without having to actually buy it. For example, the Survivalist mod for camouflage will give you 1 armor point when activating it. Now, I'm aware I just mentioned 2 brand new things, so just stay with me here. You see, WW2 Zombies introduced loadouts to the genre, and with it, it also added mods and abilities. Mods are essentially bonus perks you can equip in the menu, and abilities are like specialist weapons from Black Ops 3, just less interesting, and you get them when you spawn in the game. But that's not the only mod that will give you armor. The Determination mod for Frontline will give you 2 armor points when activating Frontline, but the Armored Up mod, which isn't tied to any ability, lets you spawn in and respawn with an entire full 3 points of Geist Shield. However, there is another way to get more armor points as well. On the Shadowed Throne, the Percha, or the Golden Trench Knife, when you kill zombies with its heavy attack, you will actually get an extra armor point if you're at full health, and if you're not, you will just regain your health to full. I should mention, on the Tortured Path survival maps, there is actually a Geist Shield station on them. I also want to quickly mention that there are indeed consumables in this game, but they are very watered down versions of gobblegums and cards. And the only one really worth talking about in this video is the Defensive Energy Cell, which spawns a protective bubble for a short time. That's really about it, because it's somewhat defensive. The only pro that I can give Geist Shield is the fact that it does not take up a perk slot. Since it's not really a perk, it's just armor. Since you can only have 4 perks or 5 if you're using the Hoarder mod, it is kind of nice to have that extra slot. But other than that, it's just not better than having Jug in my opinion. Juggernog, you buy it once and that's it. Of course, if you go down, but with armor, even if you don't go down, you got to keep buying it over and over again. That's just not the way to go. So hopefully this next game brings it back. Well, Black Ops 4 decided to say, yeah, we know you guys miss Juggernog, so guess what? We're not bringing it back. The reason for this is that they felt that Jug was too much of a crutch perk, and wanted to create a little bit of variety in the perk selection by having substitutes for defensive perks rather than just having Juggernog. And you'll never guess what this ended up doing. Making those perks crutch perks! Instead of Jug, they wanted you to use stuff like Victorious Tortoise, which makes it so when you have your shield out, you're protected from all angles. Oh yeah, the shield does make a return, and we'll get to that a little bit later. The other perks we're going to be talking about is Winter's Wail, which is just a reskin of Widow's Wine, but arguably it's a little bit better. Stone Cold Stronghold, which is a more campy style of perk, which gives you extra armor and boosts your damage in this blue circle. Yes, armor does make a return, but it works a little bit differently. You have an armor bar under your health bar, and armor in this game fully protects you from damage until it is broken. And you can get armor through a plethora of ways besides Stone Cold Stronghold. Specialist weapons, elixirs, and talismans. But I will talk about all of that stuff in just a minute. We also have Quick Revive, that boosts your health regen, which I know I already made a whole video on Quick Revive, but I feel like I should mention it here because it does involve your actual health. And last but not least, Dying Wish, which literally makes you invincible if you take lethal damage for a short amount of time, and you get to just walk away scot-free. Having this whole perk system just because you didn't want Juggernog or crutch perks in the game is such a lame-ass reason for all of this. It really is. I should also mention that these perks have modifier bonuses if put in the correct perk slot, but it's not even worth listing them all off because Juggernog isn't even in the game, and, well, you know what this video is about. When the game first dropped, you actually only had 150 health by default, and there was no way to increase it. So the game was actually pretty challenging at launch. Then later they eventually made it to where everyone has 200 health by default, so it wasn't as bad. However, your health could be higher or lower depending on the difficulty you were playing on. On casual, you have 250 health, on hardcore, you have 100 health, and on realistic, you have 50 HP, meaning if you get hit one time, you're donezo, bud. Now we gotta talk about elixirs and specialist weapons. Elixirs are just gobblegums reskinned, and specialist weapons are a combination of the Black Ops 3 specialist and abilities from World War II. There are a few elixirs that can affect your armor and getting extra perks, such as Raindrops, Perkaholic, and Perk Up. But you also have stuff like Shields Up, which, as it sounds, gives you a fresh shield, even if you haven't even built it. We also have Licensed Contractor, which spawns in a Carpenter. Okay, you're probably saying, what does that have to do with anything? Well, Carpenters in this game actually repairs your shield, so it's actually pretty useful. Then there's Suit Up, which gives you and your nearby teammates a full armor bar. The reason why I'm also bringing up Specialists is because once you pop them, they give you some armor immediately. So pretty much Specialist weapons, just like they always are, is kind of like your oh shit button. Before we move on to talismans, which are another type of consumable other than elixirs, I'm going to talk about the shield real quick. The shield is on all of the maps in this game actually, and it can be upgraded on some of the maps too. I'm not going to go in depth on exactly how you upgrade them, but I will mention when applicable. Also, another thing to consider is that you have to buy the shield once it's broken, so you can't just grab a fresh one for free like you could in the past games. On Voyage of Despair, Classified, Dead of the Night, Alpha, Omega, and Tactor Totem, it is simply just the ballistic shield, which is ripped straight out of multiplayer, and the shield can in fact be upgraded on Voyage of Despair. On 9, it's the Brazen Bull, which can also be upgraded, and it is kind of just a reskin of the ballistic shield, but it is arguably a little bit cooler. On Blood of the Dead, it's similar to Mob Shield, but now you can suck up zombie souls and do a charged blast with it, and this can also be upgraded as well, and it's arguably the easiest upgrade to do. Ancient Evil has a shield that actually lets you throw spears, and it can also be upgraded. Now let's talk about talismans. The Frugal Fetish Talisman reduces the cost of buying a new shield. Minor Reinforced Charm slightly increases the shield's durability, and the Major Reinforced Charm greatly increases the shield's durability. And lastly, Battered Dragon Scale gives you even more armor when activating your specialist weapon. And even after everything I just listed and talked about, it still does not make up for no Juggernog. It honestly doesn't, because think about this for a second. Everything I just listed you have to do to kind of even remotely resemble Juggernog, but in the past, you just had to buy one perk and you were set, and that's it. Now you gotta run almost 3 different perks, make sure you have the shield and potentially upgrade it, and possibly running the right talismans and elixirs. It's just not even comparable, and it's honestly just such a mess. I'm honestly even shocked that this got through the discussion phase back at Treyarch. But thankfully, Treyarch realized their mistake and they brought our boy back with their next game. Black Ops Cold War finally brought our beautiful baby boy Juggernog back, and man, did they want that to be front and center in their marketing. I mean, it literally was a focal point in the reveal trailer, and it even has a brand new sexy coat of 80s paint on it. Oh, and they also ditched the glass bottles and opted for aluminum cans now because, well, they hate the environment. However, the effects and cost has changed a little bit. Perk costs in this game aren't set anymore, and they will always start at 2,500 points, meaning Juggernog could be your cheapest or most expensive perk depending on when you buy it. And the effects of Juggernog are also different by only giving you 50 extra HP, until you upgrade it, that is. There are 5 upgrade tiers for just about everything in Cold War Zombies, and it makes everything really OP. Like, Juggernog's first 3 tiers are pretty solid. Tier 1 gives you a 50% reduction of status effect durations, nothing too crazy, but it's also kinda nice. Tier 2 will make armor plates replenish 25% more armor. Yes, armor makes a return, and I will go over that later. And Tier 3 gives you an extra 100 HP, meaning you're now at 300 HP with Jug, which is more than any of the previous games. Except Exo Zombies, I think it's around the same number. And that's not all. Tier 4 increases armor durability by 25%, and Tier 5 literally gives you Dying Wish. This is just busted, and there's no other way to put it. Now let's talk about armor. Armor is reworked entirely from how it was in Black Ops 4. You can now pick up an armor vest off the ground from random loot, or you can buy it through the arsenal station with salvage, the other currency besides point. And you can also upgrade this vest to have 3 armor plates worth of armor. And these upgrades also increase damage mitigation while wearing armor. You will still end up taking HP damage with armor, but it is reduced significantly. And the stats for this are wild. However, Treyarch changed how zombies works in Cold War, and this change will be the norm going forward. With no armor, zombies will hit for 30 damage between rounds 1 and 10, rounds 11 through 30 will hit for 50 damage, rounds 31 through 36 will hit for 75, and eventually this caps out at 90 damage at round 46. Now with armor, this all changes. I don't have the exact numbers for this and I apologize, but with armor, let's just say with armor on round 1, you can take a fucking beating before you go down. Now past round 46 plus, with 3 full plates and fully upgraded Juggernog, you will down in 3 hits. It sounds insane, but hey, that's how it works. Now let's go back to talking about Juggernog. The Juggernog machine is on all of the maps in the game. D-Machine, Firebase Z, Mauer der Toten, and Forsaken. But none of them are in Death Corners actually. They kind of just ditched that whole idea. And on Outbreak, there aren't any perk machines, but you do have the Wonder Fizz that's there right from the get-go. Yes, the Wonder Fizz finally makes a return since WW2 Zombies technically, and it is on all of the normal maps as well. However, it is not random anymore, and it is literally just a vending machine where you can just buy any perk you want from a menu. And since there's no perk limit anymore, if you got the points, you can just go crazy on it. It also only spawns in on round 16. There's also a couple ways to get perks for free as well, like completing trials, certain side Easter eggs like the coffin dance that literally guarantees you Juggernog, and certain side objectives in Outbreak. One more very important thing I need to talk about is Frenzied Guard. Frenzied Guard is a new field upgrade that you can equip in your loadout, and field upgrades are just like abilities from WW2 Zombies. Frenzied Guard, when activated, will make all the zombies attracted to you, and only your armor will take damage for 10 seconds. But as you know, you can upgrade this, and it basically makes you invincible for a little bit. Tier 1 will repair your armor to full on activation. Tier 2, you get 10% armor back for every single kill. Tier 3, normal enemies will explode when they hit you. Tier 4 increases the duration to 15 seconds. And Tier 5 makes all normal enemies walk at round 1 speed. Basically the undead man walking gobblegum from Black Ops 3. Before we move on, I also want to mention that there is no zombie shield in this game, and it hasn't returned since Black Ops 4, technically. There's a couple games we'll talk about later that have riot shields, but they don't work like zombie shields, so I'm not even going to bother mentioning them when we talk about them. So Cold War brought back Juggernog and made it better than ever. So the only question is, what will the next game end up doing? Vanguard Zombies. Oh boy. At least we still have Juggernog. I mean, Fiendish Fortitude. Pretty cool name, honestly, not gonna lie. Instead of perk vending machines, you now drink demon's blood from this fountain with a goblet. Look, like I said before, this game's art direction was actually pretty sick, but that's pretty much where the positives end. The perk system in this game is, without a doubt, the worst it's ever been in the series, and that includes Black Ops 4. You see, when you buy the perk for the first time, it's actually free, so yay! But then you realize you only got 50 extra health. Then the next tier costs 2,500 points, and it gives you another 50. Then tier 3 costs you 5,000, and then you get another 50. And finally, for 7,500 points, you will get an additional 50 HP to top you out at 300 health. This is abysmal. It costs you 15,000 points to max out any perk in this game. And it was even worse at launch, because each tier only gave you 25 HP to max out at 200, so you wouldn't even get the base Jug's full effect from the past games. The Fiendish Fortitude Fountain is on all of the maps in the game. Duranfong, Terra Maledicta, Shinonuma, and the Archon. And they're all in areas that you would have to go a little out of your way to get to it, except Duranfong and Shinonuma, where it's just one door by at a spawn. Armor also makes a return, and it works the exact same way as Cold Wars. There is also no perk limit in this game, so you can just go crazy with the demon blood. And that's really all Vanguard Zombies has that involves Jug in any way. There aren't really any artifacts or field upgrades or even covenants that are tied to health or defense. I mean, I guess Healing Aura is there, but I already went over that in the Quick Revive video, and I felt that it fit more in line with that, so yeah. So let's see if Sledgehammer can fix this mess with their next game. Modern Warfare 3 Zombies decided to go back to basic and simple. For the perks, at least. All of the Cold War perks, designs, and functions returned just without the upgrade tiers. But in the case of Juggernog, it made you have 250 health by default. However, since Modern Warfare 3 Zombies is basically Outbreak on the Warzone map, obtaining the perks are a little bit different, like how you can actually spawn in with them through schematics. Schematics are blueprints or recipes for different things like perks, wonder weapons, and etc. And you can find them from completing the main missions or just out in the world, and craft them in the menus. And all you gotta do is wait for a cooldown before you can craft it again. So now you can take a bunch of stuff with you into a match. Now in Jug's case, the schematic for it is a random drop from completing contracts, and it only has a 3-hour cooldown, which I believe you can shorten by completing some of the rifts, but don't quote me on that. You can also find perk cans out in the world and just stash them for your next match, or just drink them. Now you can in fact find a Juggernog machine in the map, but it's completely random, and there could potentially be multiple Jug machines in the map as well. The Wonder Fizz is also in the game and works the exact same as Cold Wars. Frenzied Guard also makes a return from Cold War, and it is just the base version, but it does also work a little bit different. On activation, it repairs your armor to full, forces all the zombies in a radius towards you, and kills will repair your armor for 10 seconds. And if it wasn't obvious already, armor is also in this game, and it works just like Cold Wars. However, you do spawn in the match with at least one plate, and you can upgrade to get a tier 2 or a tier 3 vest. However, there is also one more schematic that I have to talk about because it will become a very notable item in Zombies going forward. Golden Armor. The Golden Armor schematic gives you a full 3-plate vest, and it will also regenerate your armor over time without having to use any of the plates. This is an amazing item, especially since now you don't have to replay your armor, which can be very annoying for a Zombies player. Now, with everything that I have just talked about here, let's move on and see what Treyarch has been cooking up.
1991's fastest growing town in America, and it's plain to see why.
With Black Ops 6, Treyarch played it safe by bringing over all of the Cold War perks and just adding on to them. Instead of the upgrade tiers, we now have the Augment system, which is definitely a more fair and balanced version of the upgrade tiers. And they give you more agency for whatever kind of playstyle suits you. Juggernog at its base works as it normally does. It gives you a total of 250 HP. However, you can choose a major and a minor augment to buff up Juggernog, and they're all pretty good. The major augments are Probiotic, which gives you an extra 50 HP to now have a 300 max health, Turtle Shell, which basically acts like the classic zombie shield as long as you have armor, but now you will take no damage mitigation from the front or the sides. And reactive armor, which is essentially a discount Widow's Wine, where when an armor plate breaks, it will stun all the zombies in an area. But that's not all. The minor augments are just as useful, like retaliation, where you can deal more damage when your health is low, or hardened plates, where armor gives you even more damage mitigation, and durable plates, where armor durability is slightly increased. Yes, armor returned and it works the exact same way, but now instead of buying it with salvage, it costs points, and you plate up and you start off with one plate just like Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. And the Juggernog machine is on all of the maps in the game: Terminus, Liberty Falls, Citadel de Moor, the Tomb, Shattered Veil, and Reckoning. And none of the machine locations is in a death corner. Like I said, they kind of just ditched that whole thing. The Wonder Fizz also makes a return and is pretty much the exact same machine from Cold War, except instead of it spawning in on round 16, it spawns in on round 25. Frenzied Guard also makes a return and works exactly the same way it does in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, but it also has its own major and minor augments, like Phalanx. I don't know how to pronounce it, so don't get mad at me. Where your teammates can also repair armor from the kills while near you. Or Retribution, where you trigger an explosion when activating it, and normal enemies that hit you are knocked down and take damage. And lastly, Frenzy Fire, which makes you use ammo from your stock, which is insane. But the minor augments are also pretty nice, like Repair Boost, where you repair more armor per kill, or Extension, which increases the duration, and lastly, Rally, which on activation repairs all nearby teammates' armor to full. Now we gotta talk about Gobblegums. Yes, they finally make a return from Black Ops 3, and a few of the same ones that we mentioned before return as well, like On the House, Raindrops, Soda Fountain, and of course, Perkaholic. But we also have Shields Up returning from Black Ops 4, but instead of giving you a zombie shield, it refills your armor to full and makes it twice as strong for 5 minutes. There are also a plethora of different ways to get perks for free: completing SAM trials, doing the Easter egg, and completing various side Easter eggs as well. And before I move on, I have to mention that you can actually get golden armor in this game just like Modern Warfare 3. On the Tomb, you can complete a side Easter egg that involves a blood ritual that will give you the golden armor wall buy for completely free. Alright, well, I think that about covers everything. Oh, yeah, that's right, I gotta talk about this little guy.
Y'all are confused. So was I.
Even though Black Ops 7 is still very early in its life cycle, I still gotta cover it because there are some changes to Juggernog, believe it or not. It carries over all the base effects and augments from Black Ops 6, but it adds on to it again. There's one new major and minor augment for everything, and now you also have the ability to equip 2 minor augments, which is absolutely a game changer. The new major is Iron Core, which overheals your health when all of your armor plates are broken. Yes, you can now overheal in zombies, and armor is back and works exactly like Black Ops 6. The new minor augment is Shake It Off, which significantly reduces incoming damage occasionally. And now you can run 2 minor augments, which is very strong for Juggernog. The Juggernog machine itself is in both of the maps, Ashes of the Damned and Astra Malorum. However, it's not in any death corner, but it's also not in a super open area either, so it's a little sketchy. I would consider Ash's location to be a bit more of a death corner though. Survival maps finally make a return from technically World War II Zombies, but none of them have any perk machines. They just have the Wonder Fizz, which works exactly like it did in Black Ops 6, except it can now spawn in earlier than round 25 in the base maps if you bought at least 4 perks. Unless you're playing survival, then it will just be there at the start of the match. There's also other ways to get free perks, like completing TED tasks, various side Easter eggs, the main Easter egg, and there is a very small chance to get a free perk power-up randomly from zombies. And when I say rare, I mean rare, because I've only ever seen this thing twice from this entire time of me playing Black Ops 7 Zombies. There is one other thing involving perks, however: eternal perks. If you already have all the perks and you get the highest tier reward from a TED task, you can get a mystery perk, which will then give you an eternal perk of one of the perks you already have. For example, let's say you do this and you get Juggernog as an eternal perk. You literally cannot lose Juggernog now unless you bleed out, I think. And if you do this enough times, you could eventually just have all of the perks permanently. Frenzied Guard also makes a return from Black Ops 6, and it also has 2 new augments, like Fist of Frenzy, which basically turns you into the Doom guy where you can just punch anything and everything with your fists, and Dual Layer, which increases your armor durability while it's active. I should also mention that with Black Ops 7, we did get a few new Goblins, but the only one I'm going to talk about is Armor Get, which gives you a tier 3 plate vest automatically, which is pretty nice. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about is, again, Golden Armor. In Cursed mode, if you get to tier 1 difficulty, you can buy Golden Armor for 45,000 points if you have tier 3 armor, and it's a really nice reward. Alright, now I have finally covered everything, at least until they release more stuff in Black Ops 7, but for now, let's go on to the conclusion. So in the end, what's the takeaway from all of this? Well, for starters, Juggernog, at least at its core, never strayed too far from its original design, giving the player extra health. Of course, it's had very slight tweaks here and there, but fundamentally, it always boosted the player's health. And it almost always consistently costed 2,500 points to buy, except for a few exceptions and the Modern Zombies formula, of course. And then there was that weird lull period where they just basically removed it from the game entirely and realized immediately how hard they fucked up, and then added it right back and made it super overpowered. Will Juggernog ever change or or get removed from the game again. Personally, I doubt they will ever touch Juggernog in the way the community doesn't want it to ever again, especially after the insane backlash from World War II Zombies and Black Ops 4. And they sure as shit won't remove it from the game either. I mean, they made it a focal point returning in the Cold War Zombies reveal trailer, for crying out loud. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in saying that I think Jug will likely stay the same, but probably have a few tweaks and additions to it here and there, like the upgrade tiers from Cold War or the augment system. But that's really about it. I don't think our baby boy Jug is really going to change all that much. And honestly, that's probably for the best. So there you have it, the entire history of Juggernog in COD Zombies. Let me know down in the comment section your favorite version of Jug, whether it's the OG, Tough Enough, or Geist Shield. Let me know also the next perk you're excited to see me cover in the future. And yeah, it's been Jpup, guys, and I'll catch you on the flip side.